Imagine a peaceful spring morning, with the fresh air and sunlight streaming through the tall trees, creating soft, dappled shadows on the ground. In a vast park, a woman sits on a worn bench, her hand gently holding the leash of her faithful companion. This woman is Sarah Mitchell, a blind woman, and her companion is Bud, a German Shepherd guide dog who has been by her side not just as a pet, but as her protector, her guide, and her lifeline in the world she can no longer see. People often talk about the extraordinary bond between humans and animals, but few realize that the relationship between Sarah and Bud goes beyond companionship. It's a deep, unwavering partnership built on protection, loyalty, and sacrifice. Their story isn't just about a guide dog helping its owner navigate the world. It's about a hidden past, a history of service and heroism, and a bond that neither Sarah nor Bud ever expected. This story begins on a seemingly ordinary day when Hank, a burly motorcyclist with a tough exterior, enters the scene. With his tattoos, leather jacket, and cocky attitude, he notices Sarah and Bud sitting peacefully in the park. Something about the calmness of the woman and the disciplined posture of the dog rubs him the wrong way. Hank, full of disdain and arrogance, decides to approach, mocking Sarah and her guide dog. But what he doesn't know is that Bud isn't just any dog. Bud is a retired K-9 military dog, trained for high-risk situations, capable of handling far more dangerous threats than this man could ever pose. What unfolds is not just a confrontation between a man and a dog. It's a moment that will change how Sarah sees her loyal companion, revealing a past she never could have imagined. As the situation escalates, the tension rises, and what started as a simple taunt becomes an encounter that reveals Bud's true nature as a protector, a warrior trained to neutralize threats. But this is just the surface. The real story lies in what happens after the confrontation. Sarah learns that her guide dog, the one she has trusted for years, is not just her helper. He is a hero in his own right, with a past that could make anyone rethink the true value of service animals. The discovery of Bud's military background turns their relationship into something even more profound, and it opens up a deeper understanding of loyalty, sacrifice, and the hidden lives of service animals. In a world where pets are often seen as mere companions, Sarah's discovery about Bud will challenge everything she thought she knew about him. Their bond, built on trust and mutual dependence, takes on a new layer of significance as Sarah learns that Bud is not just her guide dog. He is her guardian, a silent protector with a past that few could comprehend. But what happens when Sarah realizes that the dog she's relied on for years has an extraordinary history, one that could have changed the course of both of their lives? What does this reveal about the depth of the human-animal relationship, and how do we truly understand the loyalty and protection these animals offer? Join us as we uncover the incredible story of Sarah and Bud, a story that proves that sometimes the animals we love are far more than just pets. They are heroes in their own right. As Sarah sat there, still processing what had just unfolded, her fingers tightened around Bud's leash. The commotion in the park had quieted down, but the weight of the moment lingered in the air. What had just happened between her and Hank was more than just a confrontation. It was a wake-up call. She had always known that Bud was exceptional, but now, in the aftermath of his protective reaction, she began to question just how much she truly knew about her loyal guide dog. What had he been through? What stories lay buried beneath his calm demeanor and disciplined behavior? The truth was about to surface in ways Sarah could never have imagined. In the days following the park incident, Sarah's thoughts were consumed with this new revelation about Bud. She began to see him not just as her guide dog, but as someone who had a deep, hidden past, one that was far more complex than she could have ever realized. Bud's calmness, his discipline, his readiness to defend her in the face of danger, all of it was beginning to make sense. But there was more. A part of Bud's history that remained unknown to Sarah was waiting to be uncovered, and it would change her life forever. Sarah couldn't stop thinking about the words of the park ranger who had intervened when Hank attempted to kick Bud. "This dog is doing his job protecting her," the ranger had said. "And by the looks of it, he's better at his job than you are at being a decent human being." The words resonated deeply with Sarah. She had always thought of Bud as simply a companion, someone to help her navigate the world. But now, she realized he was much more than that. He was trained to serve and protect, not just her but potentially anyone in danger. His protective instincts, honed over years of military service, were still intact, waiting for the right moment to surface. In the days after the incident, Sarah found herself reflecting on how little she knew about Bud's past. What was his life like before he became her guide dog? Why had he been trained to act so decisively? She needed answers, and it became clear that the only way to get them was to learn more about his history. Determined, Sarah began her search. She contacted a local veterans organization that specialized in military dogs, hoping to uncover more information about Bud's background. What she discovered was nothing short of astonishing. Bud, once known by the name Bravo, had been a highly trained K-9 in the military, deployed on multiple high-risk missions, working alongside a handler named Sergeant Jake Carter. Bud wasn't just a dog. He was a soldier, one who had served in some of the most dangerous environments imaginable. This revelation left Sarah in awe. She had always known Bud was remarkable, but now she understood why he had always been so alert, so protective, so capable of handling situations that most dogs would shy away from. His calmness in the face of danger, his ability to sense threats, and his unwavering loyalty, all of it made sense now. But even more surprising was the bond that had existed between Bud and Sergeant Carter, the handler he had served with during his military days. The deep respect and loyalty between them were evident, and it was clear that Bud had once been more than just a service dog. He had been a warrior. This discovery marked a turning point for Sarah. She now understood that her connection with Bud went far beyond what she had initially thought. The love and trust they shared weren't just based on the practicalities of his role as a guide dog. They were built on something deeper, something more profound. A bond that had been forged in the heat of combat and solidified through years of service. But Sarah's journey to understand Bud's past was just beginning. As she continued to learn more about his military background, she found herself reaching out to Sergeant Jake Carter, the man who had once been Bud's partner in battle. The phone call with Jake would reveal even more about the incredible history that Bud had carried with him all these years. When Sarah told Jake that she had Bud, now called Bravo, by her side, Jake's reaction was immediate and emotional. He hadn't known where Bud had ended up after retiring from service, and hearing that his former K-9 was now helping Sarah was a bittersweet moment for him. As Sarah listened to Jake share stories of their time together in combat zones, it became clear just how much Bud had endured. He had saved Jake's life more times than either of them could count, performing tasks that most dogs couldn't even dream of. In one particularly harrowing mission, Jake spoke of a time when Bud had alerted him to a hidden threat, preventing a potentially deadly ambush. The bond they shared was unspoken, built on years of trust, understanding, and survival. Sarah felt a deep sense of pride in learning about Bud's history. She had always admired his loyalty, but now, with the knowledge of what he had been through, she saw him in a new light. Bud wasn't just her protector. He was a hero, a warrior who had been trained for battle, and who had now found a new mission in life, protecting her. Yet, as Sarah continued to learn about Bud's past, she couldn't help but wonder how much of that past still remained with him. Was he still the same dog who had bravely faced danger, or had his years of service left scars that were now buried beneath his calm exterior? Sarah began to notice that Bud sometimes seemed restless, alert in ways that went beyond the normal behavior of a guide dog. His instincts were always sharp, always on high alert, as though he were still waiting for the next challenge, the next mission. She also began to understand that Bud's transition from a military working dog to a guide dog hadn't been easy. There were moments when his past seemed to resurface in subtle ways, when he would pause and look around, his body tense, as if scanning for potential threats. It made Sarah realize that while Bud had adapted to his new role, the warrior inside him was always there, ready to protect and serve. But how did Bud truly feel about this change? Was he content in his new role as her guide dog? Or did he miss the action, the purpose, the adrenaline of his military days? These questions weighed heavily on Sarah's mind, and she knew that in order to truly understand Bud, she needed to explore what came next for him. One day, while taking Bud for a walk through the park, Sarah decided to reach out to a facility that worked with retired military K-9s. She hoped that they could help her understand what Bud might be experiencing, and whether there was anything more she could do to ensure his happiness and well-being. When they arrived at the center, Sarah was amazed by the environment. A large, open space where retired K-9s could engage in activities that mirrored their military training. The excitement in Bud's eyes was immediate. As he trotted into the facility, his tail wagging with energy, Sarah knew that this place was where he could truly thrive. The trainer at the facility, after observing Bud's behavior, was astounded by his performance. "He's incredible," the trainer said. "It's like he's never left the field." Bud's agility, focus, and sharpness were all still there, as if years of military service had prepared him for moments like this. For Sarah, it was both a revelation and a bittersweet moment. She realized that Bud wasn't just a retired K-9. He was a soldier who had found a new purpose, and that purpose now lay in protecting her. As the weeks passed, Sarah continued to bring Bud to the facility, watching him flourish in an environment where his skills could be put to good use once again. Each session reminded her of just how special Bud was, not just as a guide dog, but as a warrior, a protector, and a hero. As the days went by, Sarah began to reflect on everything she had learned about Bud. The discovery of his past, the bond he had shared with Sergeant Jake Carter, and the way his military training had shaped him into the dog he was today. All of it had opened her eyes to something deeper than she could have ever imagined. Bud was no longer just a guide dog to her. He had become a symbol of resilience, a living testament to loyalty and sacrifice, not only to Sarah but to anyone who had been lucky enough to witness his unwavering commitment to those he cared about. With every training session at the K-9 facility, Bud seemed to come alive again. The joy he found in re-engaging with his military training was unmistakable. The agility drills, the scent detection, the obstacle courses, each activity seemed to trigger something deep within him, something that had been dormant for years. Sarah couldn't help but feel a mixture of pride and bittersweetness every time she watched him work. She had always known he was special, but seeing him excel in these exercises only deepened her admiration for him. However, Sarah also began to grapple with the realization that Bud's past was something she couldn't undo. He had been through so much: combat zones, high-risk missions, and the kind of stress and trauma that most people would never experience. While she was grateful for everything Bud had done for her, part of her wondered if she had done enough for him in return. Had she truly given him the life he deserved after all he had sacrificed? One evening, as they sat together on the couch, Sarah gently stroked Bud's fur, her thoughts drifting back to their first days together. She remembered the excitement and the sense of safety she felt when Bud was first placed in her care. He had been her eyes when she couldn't see, her guide when she felt lost. But now, as she learned more about his past, she realized that their relationship had become more than just functional. It had become one of mutual understanding and respect. In that moment, Sarah made a vow to herself and to Bud. She would ensure that he lived a life full of love, respect, and fulfillment. She wouldn't let him be defined solely by his past as a military dog or as her guide dog. He was more than that. He was her partner, her protector, and her friend. And together, they would create a future that honored everything he had given to others. Months passed, and Sarah and Bud continued their weekly visits to the training facility. Sarah noticed that Bud had become more relaxed, more at peace. He wasn't as restless as he had once been, and he seemed content with his new role. Still vigilant, still protective, but also able to enjoy his life as her companion. She often thought back to the conversation she had had with Jake Carter, where he had told her, "You're his mission now." It was a simple statement, but it resonated deeply with Sarah. It reminded her that their bond wasn't just based on what Bud had done for her. It was about what they had built together. Bud had always been her protector, and now Sarah had become his. She provided him with the love, care, and attention that allowed him to flourish in a world where his instincts could be balanced with the peace he deserved. One day, Sarah received a call from Jake Carter. He had been following Bud's progress at the training facility and was thrilled to hear that his old partner was thriving. Jake shared more stories from their time together in the military, stories filled with humor, danger, and camaraderie. But it was clear from the way Jake spoke that he had always regarded Bud not just as a working dog, but as a close companion, a true friend. Their reunion, though brief, was one of deep emotion, and it reaffirmed for Sarah the true value of the bond they shared. As Sarah sat with Bud that evening, reflecting on the time that had passed since she had first learned of his past, she realized how much their journey had shaped her as well. She had gone from seeing Bud as simply a tool for navigation, to understanding that he was an extraordinary animal with a life of his own, filled with history, emotion, and sacrifice. She now saw him not just as her guide dog, but as a warrior, a hero, and most importantly, her loyal companion. But there were still questions on Sarah's mind, questions about Bud's emotional well-being, his past trauma, and whether there was more she could do to ensure he felt fulfilled. While Bud was happy with their life together, Sarah knew that he needed more than just a routine. She continued researching ways to support retired military K-9s like Bud, learning about programs and activities designed to help them adjust to civilian life and find new purposes after their service. Sarah and Bud's life together wasn't perfect. There were challenges, there were moments of uncertainty, but there was also an unbreakable bond between them. They had both come a long way, Bud, from the battlefield to the quiet streets of the city, and Sarah, from the darkness of blindness to the light of independence, with Bud by her side every step of the way. In the end, Sarah understood something profound. Their relationship was a partnership in every sense of the word. Bud had once served to protect others, and now he served to protect her. But Sarah's role wasn't just to care for him. It was to give him the love and respect he had earned, and to ensure that his life, now in civilian hands, was just as meaningful as it had been during his time in service. One afternoon, as they sat together on their favorite park bench, watching the world go by, Sarah whispered to Bud, "You've done so much for me, and I'll never forget it. You're more than just my guide dog. You're my partner, my hero, and I promise I'll always give you the life you deserve." Bud, ever steady, rested his head on her lap, his eyes scanning the surroundings, ever vigilant, yet peaceful. The park was no longer just a place of serenity for Sarah. It had become a place of reflection, a place where she could appreciate the depth of the bond she shared with Bud, a bond that was unspoken but stronger than anything words could express. Their journey was far from over. Together, they would continue to face whatever challenges life threw their way. But now, more than ever, Sarah knew that with Bud by her side, they could conquer anything. If you've enjoyed this story and found yourself moved by the incredible bond between Sarah and Bud, don't forget to hit the like button to show your support. Share this video with your friends and family to spread the message of loyalty, love, and the extraordinary lives of our four-legged heroes. And if you want to see more heartwarming stories like this one, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.